Hey Summoners, what's up? It's the beginning of the new season and I'm excited as ever. My name is Nathan Ng and I'll be your host for the Patch Rundown. Kicking things off in the new season, expect some chaos. We're going to be covering the changes and also provide you with the updated tier list for all 5 roles, mostly based on the results of the concluding weeks of the preseason. Make sure to subscribe because we'll be creating a ton of content covering Season 12 and you definitely don't want to miss out. Without further ado, let's begin the Patch Rundown. It isn't a Patch Rundown video if we don't start off with everybody's favorite section, and that's the skins. First up, Elderwood, Gnar, and Rek'Sai have been added to the collection. As you expect, these skins give off a mythical forest theme of both these champions. This patch's most anticipated skin, however, is none other than Firelight Echo. Make sure to check out Arcane if you haven't already because it is so good. Anyway, this skin comes directly from the show and is as magnificent as you can expect. Moving forward, let's talk about some balance changes. Beginning with the systems, the biggest change for Season 12's first patch is a major nerf to teleport. One could argue that players have gotten too good at using the Summoner spell. Bot laners struggle to play aggressively in this state of the game, overstep just a bit and you can expect some teleports behind you and the fiesta to begin. It's become such an essential staple in competitive play and even solo queue that it defines the metagame. The nerf it received was one for the first 14 minutes of the game, as you can only teleport to structures. After that time has passed, teleport will be upgraded to Unleash Teleport, where it can be used in the same fashion as before. The channel time has been reduced from 4.5 to 4 seconds, however. So yes, a minor buff in line with a huge nerf to the Summoner spell. This change gives bot laners a lot of agency during the early game, as solo laners will now only be able to teleport to counter enemy dives. Proactive use of it won't be possible until the 14-minute mark. Instead, players that do take the Summoner spell are likely only going to be using it to get a quick return to the lane and gain leads that way. Moving forward, we have a nerf to the mythic item Immortal Shield Bow. A staple purchase for marksmen in need of some extra defense, as well as the go-to for melee carries, Riot decided to finally give this item a nerf. First, the AD was reduced by 5. While that is a decent nerf, the bigger one is the shield, which has been reduced by 25 early and 150 in the later parts of the game. 150 less shielding is gigantic, and there are going to be plenty more situations where it won't be able to save players from their demise. Champions like Yone have been prevalent in this preseason, but with a nerf to shield bow, they're going to find less success than before. Similar item up for a nerf is Eclipse. Riot has had it with these 80 items that grant shields. While it was buffed earlier this season, it's proven to be too powerful. Essentially, the buff to its cooldown for melee champions is being reverted back to 6 to 8 seconds. It's a sizable nerf that players will definitely notice this patch. The final nerf is a subjective one. Wit's End has had its recipe changed. Instead of building out of Negatron Cloak and a longsword, it'll instead build out of Null Magic Mantle and Pickaxe. While Pickaxe is more costly, a smaller longsword purchase is still available with the Hearthbound Axe part of the recipe. Instead, you just can go for a bigger AD purchase. The nerf, however, is that you must now sit on a Null Magic Mantle. Overall, this makes the build up to the item slightly weaker than before. There are situations where players benefit more from the pickaxe, but again, it's subjective. Now before moving on to the buffs, let me quickly shout out our wonderful coaching staff over at ProGuides.com. This season is bound for a chaotic start and contacting one of our coaches can absolutely help you find some direction. Whether your goal is to rank up, learn a new champion, or improve at a game, or just play with somebody because you're so lonely, which is definitely not the reason I enlisted a coach, they'll be able to help you accomplish all of those. Anyway, let's go on to the buffs. Now for the buffs, let's talk about Force of Nature. The movement speed, buff duration, and the magic damage reduction were both increased. Both functions of this item have been buffed up and I expect it to gain a lot more popularity as a result. A 5% increase in magic damage reduction will definitely make all the difference for tanks itemizing against team comps stacked with AP champions. That covers the system changes, so let's move on to champions next. We'll start off with the top lane with a single balance change to Gangplank. His Q's cooldown was reduced by half a second and the mana cost by 5. This is a decent buff, but these changes alone are unlikely to change his current placement. While there aren't many balance changes to cover for this patch, we do have plenty of trends in the meta to discuss as the season begins. A couple of tier list shifts, however. Akshan has moved into the S tier. Although Shield Bow was nerfed, he's gaining plenty of popularity in the top lane with a decent amount of success too. It's clear that he's a strong champion in every single role that he's played in with some high damage, mobility, and of course his ability to revive his teammates. Warwick has been moved up to the A tier for this update as well. While top lane Warwick was initially seen as a niche top laner, he's gained a decent amount of popularity over the course of the preseason. Lethal Tempo Warwick is proven to be quite powerful, and Warwick top players also have the option of instead taking Grasp of the Undying for shorter trades and more laning power. Once ahead, Warwick's massive sustain and attack speed make him a difficult champion to deal with in the side lane. Now for the trends. Outside of Jace dominating in play rate, fighters are all the hype and high elo. Camille, Jax, Fiora, Riven, and Irelia are amongst the 7 most popular champions in Elite play. Riot was quick to pull the plug on tank item buffs earlier this preseason, and we've yet seen many tanks aside from Tomcat produce impressive results. Nerfs to Shieldbow are gonna hurt Irelia, but Jax is doing excellently with lethal tempo, while the other fighters have incredible agency in a great player's hands. For our OP picks in the top lane, we'll continue the featured Tahm Kench, Teemo, and Jace. Note that Teemo is up there primarily for his presence in low and mid elo. He's definitely still a powerful threat in high elo though. In our S tier, we have Camille, Irelia, Nasus, Jax, Malphite, Shen, Mundo, Set, Quinn, Poppy, Fiora, Yone, Tryndamere, Vayne, Kayle, Victor, and Akshan. Next up is the jungle. Again, we'll start with a single balance change. However, this one is massive because Diana is back, baby. First, her passive's AP ratio has been increased by 10%. Second, her bonus damage against monsters was increased by 50%. This alone pushes her up to the S tier. The previous nerf that reduced her win rate was a reduction to her monster damage. With it reverted, Diana's clear speed is back to its former strength, and we can expect her to dominate once again. With the nerfs to Shieldbow, we expect the jungle meta to change just a little bit. Make sure to check in for the mid-patch update next week. For now, two dominant picks, Graves and Viego, might see their performance decrease noticeably. That being said, we have made a few adjustments to the tier list. We moved Nunu up to the S tier. Although not many tank top players are finding success, the jungle features a couple including Nunu, Rammus, and even Zac. However, Nunu stands as one of the strongest. He ended preseason with a 53% win rate, and for good reason. He's extremely safe, gets the job done, and of course, is difficult to deal with for the enemy jungler. Although Talon was about to push into the OP tier, a nerf to Eclipse has our analysts waiting to see the results of it. A nerf to Eclipse has our analysts waiting to see the results first. The nerf alone won't move him down a tier, and they believe that Talon is an excellent jungler at the moment. His ability to snowball off of leads and easily assassinate priority targets later on into the game makes him such an impressive force. Currently, the jungle features a wide variety of viable champions. Although there are a lot of assassins being played, picks like Lee Sin, Master Yi, and Vi are all prevalent and successful as well. Our OP picks are Graves and Shaco, followed up by Talon, Fiddlesticks, Zac, Kindred, Kayn, Lilia, Lee Sin, Vi, Viego, Trundle, Rammus, Master Yi, Warwick, Xin Zhao, Diana, and Nunu in the S tier. Expect to see the OP tier change once the mid-patch update releases. Next, we have the mid lane. While we don't have too many tier list changes to mention, the mid lane meta is bound to see some big changes next patch. With the nerf to Immortal Shieldbow, some big hitters are taking the L. Yasuo, Yone, Akshan, Corki, and a few others are just gonna come out a little bit weaker. Who knows how the sudden loss of power will affect the grand scheme of the meta. We'll continue to track its progress, so stay tuned. That said, we moved Corki up to the S tier. In spite of the Shieldbow nerf, he's proven himself to be the winner of the Season 12 changes. First Strike has helped him regain his footing, and he cannot disrespect him. While his early game is still a bit weak, he quickly ramps up to become a terrifying marksman with the assistance of some extra income. It's no surprise that Corki is currently one of the most popular mid laners in high elo. Diana has also been moved up into the S tier. With Jungle Diana being buffed, she's once again a powerful flex pick that holds incredible value during champion select. She also received a small damage buff to her passive, so she's technically stronger than before. Finally, we've decided to move Vex up to the OP tier. She continues to not only perform well, but also demands a high ban rate at just below 20% in high elo. Simple to execute but also absurdly strong, Vex continues to kill it ever since her release. Something that we missed was moving Pyke up a tier during the B patch. Increased damage on his Q obviously helped Pyke perform better as a support, but the dedicated Pyke mid players also continue to take advantage of these buffs for themselves. With the help of Axiom Arc, Pyke has forged himself into a scarier new identity out on Summoner's Rift. Our OP mid lane picks are Zed, Victor, and Vex, followed up by Sylas, Talon, Annie, Ahri, Yone, LeBlanc, Kassadin, Anivia, Katarina, Akshan, Lux, Yasuo, Tryndamere, Kayle, Cassiopeia, Kiana, Corki, and Diana in the S tier. Wow, that was a mouthful. Which makes sense, because if you're playing these champions, you're bound to get fed, because your mouth is... it doesn't... okay. Moving on. For the bottom lane, there isn't too much to talk about with a smaller champion roster. I will, however, talk about the effects of the last B patch. Obviously, the Vayne nerfs hurt. Now that she also has to deal with the nerf to Immortal Shieldbow, expect to see her win rate drop even more. The loss of damage on her ultimate dropped her win rate by less than 1%, but we'll continue to see it sink as the new patch plays out. Before moving forward, let me ask our question of the day. Which new build from Season 12 surprises you the most? I think it's gotta be Ezreal running Crown of the Shattered Queen. I mean, that champion's already so safe, but you know, it's also really fun. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and let's continue on with the video. Varus and Kai'Sa are doing much better after the big buffs that they received. Varus definitely deserves this higher placement, and there's a good chance our analysts might need to move him up another tier in the update next week. Kai'Sa is in a similar situation, and as an update to anybody that's missed it, she's currently using Crown of the Shattered Queen as her main mythic item. Quite the development to be honest, and the fact that AP Kai'Sa was heavily buffed in the previous B patch is no surprise that she's doing so well. We have made one adjustment and Twitch is up to the A tier. Surprisingly, he's gained a lot of popularity. Last patch's conclusion featured him with the 10th highest play rate at a solid 51% win rate in high elo. Lethal Example certainly helps and plays a factor here, but we'll have to wait and see if he can continue to perform as well as he's doing right now. In the OP tier, we have Vayne, Jhin, and Jinx, followed up by Ezreal, Ziggs, Lucian, Karthus, Caitlyn, Draven, and Kai'Sa in the S tier. Finally, we'll conclude with the supports. Following up the B patch, Lux and Pyke's changes definitely got the job done. Lux is of course noticeably weaker than before with a huge nerf to her Q's cooldown. While she retains popularity, it's likely that she'll no longer be flavor of the month moving forward. Pyke, however, is too much better in both the mid and bot lane as a support following the buffs that he received. He was previously underperforming a little bit, but he has seen his win rate climb since the middle of last patch. Unfortunate, I really do not want to see people play this champion, but hey, that's, I guess what we have to deal with. For those of you coming back from a break, I'll make sure to highlight some important details. Xerath gained a ton of popularity over the course of the preseason. The introduction of First Strike created a new build for him, and he's since gained a lot of popularity as a support. Increased income and some burst damage has really helped him scale up to similar strength as middle lane Xerath. Thus, teams that are lacking magic damage have no issue throwing him in. The current support meta heavily favors enchanters, with picks like Lulu, Nami, and Yuumi being chosen often. In terms of engaged supports, we see picks that are direct counters to them such as Blitzcrank, Leona, and even Thresh. Blitzcrank is by far the most popular tank support pick in Korea because of his ability to heavily influence games with just his hook, and he's also become one of the most threatening to play against as an enchanter. With those points covered, our OP picks for supports are Blitzcrank and Lulu, followed up by Thresh, Morgana, Maokai, Zarya, Yuumi, Sona, Nami, Soraka, Xerath, Leona, and Lux in the S tier. And that concludes our 12.1 patch rundown. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, feel free to share your thoughts with me in the comments down below. Also, check out the description for a link to join our Discord. Good luck this season, Summoners. I'm really hoping for the best for all of you. Anyway, you know how I always say, stay safe and stay healthy. I myself, as you can tell from the previous voiceovers, have caught COVID, and it sucks. It really sucks, and I would not wish this on anybody. So when I say this, I genuinely mean it. Please stay safe and stay healthy out there, everybody. Have a wonderful one, and win that next game for me. Peace.